Testing. So good afternoon, everyone. I would ask you to please take your seats. Welcome to our All Councils meeting for December the 19th, 2025. And I'm incredibly excited and grateful to the Township of Woolwich to be here in Elmira today. I'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, and the Chinootan peoples. In doing so, I want to reflect on what it means to be doing important community work as we are engaging in collectively today, and also in my own individual relationship to this land. As a settler, one of the most important aspects of my individual journey towards truth and reconciliation has been to listen. And I am continually grateful to a community that shares their stories and their concerns with me. As chair of the region, I know I carry a large responsibility to ensure not only that I, on an individual level, listen and act, but that we as a government listen and take action in our community. I'm offering this acknowledgement as one of the many actions the region is taking on our journey towards reconciliation. We recognize the enduring presence of the Indigenous peoples of this land, and we honor their historic and ongoing contributions to our community. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge some important days this month. There are a few days of significance I would like to recognize. First, I would like to take a special moment to celebrate Hanukkah, especially following the unfortunate accidents that occurred in Bondi Beach. The region is committed to our anti-hate campaign. We all belong here, and we send our sincere condolences to the families of the victims. We also have several upcoming celebrations and holidays. On December 21st, both the winter solstice, which is celebrated by Indigenous cultures, as a time to honor natural cycles and patterns, and the Donzai Festival is celebrated by many Eastern Asian cultures to mark the shift from darkness to light and the promise of longer, brighter days ahead. And on December 25th, Christmas is celebrated by Christians worldwide, marking the birth of Jesus Christ. It is a time for reflection, family gatherings, and acts of kindness. I would now like to invite Mayor Sandy Shantz to provide some welcoming remarks. Thank you again, Sandy.
Thanks, Karen, and welcome to Woolwich. We have wintry weather here, so I appreciate you all coming up. The roads will be very passable. The region has assured me of that. So, just for housekeeping, washrooms are outside this door and to your right, to my right. When you came up the stairs, it's to the left by the coat racks. That might be the easier way to describe it. And after we adjourn, Ray has arranged for some really yummy treats. So hang around and have a little bit of time to celebrate the season. So thanks to Rayanne. Are you in here, Rayanne? She's not. She's amazing, and she's done all the organizing. So at least from our end. So we have some interesting presentations today. It's been a year of accomplishments and changes, collaboration, sometimes some angst. And I liken it to sort of before you get it organized, it's like a closet, right? You take everything out, you make a bit of a mess, and then you put it all back together and it looks really nice. So I'm trusting that we'll get there. So I hope you have some good downtime over the holidays and time with those who are the most important to you. And I will say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and see you in the new year, although I'll be here. I won't be up here anymore. So I just wanted to take that moment to say that. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Stuart McDonough, lead for the AMO Healthy Democracy Project. And there he is. Come on up. Who are we looking for up there? Petra. Petra?
Petra.
And welcome, Petra. Wolfeis. Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You can?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. Okay, I can start. As I was just introduced, I'm Petra Wolfbeis. I'm the Director of Membership Services with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. I'm sorry I could not be there in person today. We had a board meeting with the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, but I am joined in person by my colleague Stuart McDonough. And Stuart will be there to answer any questions or speak about what I'm going to share with you more. So to the next slide, please. So I'm just going to take you I was asked today to speak about AMO's Healthy Democracy project. So I'll just, before I get into that, quick reminder of who AMO is. I'll review what the project is and why AMO undertook this important work. I'll provide at a very high level the strategy overview and our intentions and focus for 2026. And of course, happy to take any questions after that. Next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. So I'm assuming many of you are familiar with your membership, your municipal association, AMO, and pleased to say, of course, that Chair Redmond is an AMO board of director. So we represent all 444 municipalities. For many years, the City of Toronto was not a member and rejoined in 2025, which we were very pleased with. Our main objective is to support you and your municipalities in a number of ways. Most likely you're familiar with our policy and advocacy work and our government relation work on your behalf, but we also do educational support to elected officials across the province through conferences, events, and our educational workshops, as well as providing cost-saving programs through LAS. We have a 47-member board of directors comprised of 7 different caucuses that cover off the different types of and regions of municipal governance across the province. And we continue to work on your behalf very diligently on the many issues that are coming your way, primarily with the provincial government, of course, but also we do some federal policy work. On the next slide, please. So next slide, thank you. So what is the Healthy Democracy Project? In lead up to the 2022 election, AMO undertook it was more of a campaign. It was called We All Win. And it was really an effort to have more people start thinking about municipal governance, not just understanding what municipalities do, but trying to attract more people to consider running for local office. And there's a few reasons we did that, and I'll get into it in a moment. But it was to bring people who may have not thought that council is a place where they belong, but they certainly have a great interest in their communities, and also to increase the diversity across councils in Ontario to reflect communities. So we had a campaign that featured a number of municipal trailblazers and really talking about the real privilege of serving and also what you can accomplish by being an elected municipal official. So there's a few points there in terms of what we were focusing to do. And then so in follow-up to 2021, on the next slide, please. Oh, sorry. This is a little more of the context. What was the impetus? Why was the board even thinking about these things? Well, there were a number of trends that we had been observing over elections from 2010. Some upward trends and some disturbingly downward trends. So we continue to see increasing acclamations, so fewer people running, and we were seeing less voter turnout. And if you see in 2022, it was a little bit higher in terms of voter turnout than 2018, but the acclamations were something that were pretty concerning. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. And, people have reminded us, but yes, sometimes acclamations are a good thing, but we wanted to ensure that, interest in local democracy and local governance was something people were aware of, and we were working to increase. So on the next slide, next slide, please. Thanks. The board approved the Healthy Democracy Project. So this was a 4-year project beginning, it was approved in November of 2022. And it was approved for the term of 2022 and will be wrapping up at the end of 2026. So this was work that, first of all, AMO had never undertaken and was relatively new. There wasn't a lot of people, and certainly not municipal organizations, doing this kind of work. So we thought, okay, if we want to represent the importance of municipal governance, understanding what government does, what are the key areas we need to do that in? So we built on our We All Win campaign, which I talked about. We really wanted to address what we were hearing repeatedly, and this is no news to you. And actually today, just at the Roma board meeting, one of the directors shared with me a social media post that was deeply alarming about her. So you're very familiar with the challenges of, decreasing civility and increasing harassment. So we wanted to understand what that really looks like and what are some of the things we could consider in supporting our members around managing and addressing these things. And as I had mentioned, we wanted to increase the understanding and the involvement in municipal government and what municipal governments do. On the next slide, please. So those were our 3 priority areas. At a very high level, we've captured here some of the key things that we've been working on since 2022 to support these 3 streams of the project. So we started the work with foundational research that hadn't been done before, and that was understanding the experience of diverse candidates in running for office. And through that, we had some key foundations and some recommendations to build on. We also assembled, I didn't mention this here, we assembled a Healthy Democracy Advisory Group that is consists of currently sitting politicians, previously elected academics, stakeholders, lots of people who are doing work in different areas of democracy. And I did see Natasha Salonen here, and she is on a Healthy Democracy Advisory Group member, and we thank her for her great support in this work. So we started with the research, and then from there we had a greater understanding about some of the areas that we needed to dig deeper into and develop tools around. So I've listed them here, and I just want to point out a few. I don't want to take you through all of them, but we've really been focusing on candidate attraction under the We All Win. You may have seen some of the candidate information sessions that we're offering. We have one for underrepresented candidates. We're just in the process of developing one for youth who are thinking about running, and also Indigenous folks, but everyone is welcome to these. And then under our Respect for Democracy, we've held a number of really successful forums where we share information and build networks and understanding about our project. And we are currently undertaking and almost wrapping up a civility and anti-harassment is a strategy, but what we're coming out of that is a really important resource or handbook for you to engage at the local level to address things that you are facing, both sometimes within council, but between council and staff, but also council and the public. So we've really dug deep into how these issues are manifesting across the province and coming up with some important support for you in doing that. We, through our education and engagement stream, we've developed a really great resource to support you into going into classrooms and working with students on building understanding on municipal government, and also what you do as an elected official. It's been really well received. And a number of one currently still underway, but resources on voter turnout, getting people engaged to turn out for the election. We're also working on a public affairs campaign that will support that. So it's addressing voter turnout, but also getting people to consider running for municipal government. So a lot of the work that we've been building and understanding is going to be evident and be a part of our new council educational workshops. We're doing a full redesign of how we support you and all AMO members in terms of your roles, your responsibilities, your, work within meetings and community. I'm really excited. We're working with a firm that is an adult education and also very focused on municipal governance. And part of this is not just improving the support and information we provide for you, but we're really looking to have a solid onboarding process for new elected officials coming out of October 2026. Because we know that for a lot of people, campaigning is not governing. And sometimes the jump, if you've never been involved in any of this, is overwhelming and confusing. So we are really working hard to support our members. So I've just touched on a few things. One other thing I just want to point out, we have a solutions bank. We have a website on our amo.on.ca/healthy democracy project. And we have a solutions bank there with hundreds of examples about local initiatives where you can raise understanding, get people more engaged in what you do at the local level, and really efforts that address our 3 streams of work. So I would really encourage you to have a look at this if you have a moment, or have your staff look at it, because it's a really useful catalog. On the next slide, a slide after that, thank you. So for 2026, I talked about our civility and anti-harassment strategy. It's going to inform a lot of the resources that we're going to be working to develop and provide to you. Our public affairs campaign, which I spoke about. In addition to having people more engaged in the election, we also are working through this to increase understanding and trust of both municipal government and who AMO is. On the next slide. I talk about our candidate information sessions, but we're also holding a series of 4 sessions, both for currently sitting elected officials, but also those who are looking to run. And it's really about supporting you in your decision and preparing for the next term. It's a really great networking resource as well for you to start thinking about how you want to approach and kind of reevaluate or re-examine your leadership, your priorities, and how you want to go into the next term, hoping that everyone's going to run. We've recently released, and it's on our website, a Lead Where You Live. It's a process and logistics handbook, provides all the dates, all the things people need to know and do in order to run for local office. We've heard a lot from our members through our research and engagement that they are really looking for support as leaders, and that's through mentorship and also education. So we are working with a organization called Nominee that has a pretty extensive mentorship program, and we will be launching that early in the new year. And we're going to make that available to folks to, reach out to people who are also local leaders and get support, explore ideas, just help, be there for you in your own leadership journey. Talked about our youth voter engagement work. We're working with Model City Hall and the City of Hamilton to develop a pretty comprehensive handbook and guide how folks can engage youth in your communities. We're developing some healthy democracy indicators working with TMU, so you can measure locally, different factors in terms of engagement, and our voter turnout guide and resources. On the next page is a list of only some of our resources. You see it on the screen. I'm not sure if this presentation will be made available to you. If it is, there's a bunch of links in there that you could you can access to understand more about what we're doing, but also support you and your local initiatives. Excuse me. Next slide, please. And that's it. I'm not sure, Stuart, if I missed anything that you feel should be touched on. Feel free to jump in, but happy to take any questions or provide any clarification.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, thank you very much, Petra, is that 2026 is all going to be about providing our members with more resources to either drive voter turnout, encourage people. When we talk about encouraging people to run, I want you to know that we're really talking about not just new candidates, but people having that really difficult decision about whether to seek re-election or not, having gone through what you've been doing and seeing over 4 years or 8 or more. So a lot of resources to come, and just pay attention to our AMO channels, and we'll continue to communicate regularly, not only what's now out, but what's coming in the future. Are there any questions?
Yes, Stuart Cressman, councillor from Wilmot. I guess my question is, where did AMO land when it came to strong mayor powers? Because as a councillor, I was elected to be involved in the decisions. Now I'm advisor to the mayor. So I'm kind of wondering, I asked Natasha what AMO's response was, and I understand there's rumors strong mayor powers will be rolled out to even more municipalities by the provincial government. And how is that going to impact the decision of candidates running if they aren't involved in the discussion or are involved in making decisions?
I'm happy to respond to that to begin with. We've been hearing that a lot in terms of some people's concerns around what the 2026 election may look like, by people with different motivations around strong mayor powers. AMO does not actually have a position on strong mayors, simply because there was no consensus at our board, and our advocacy and our government relation work and position is informed by our 47-member board on a consensus basis. And there was no consensus at the board in terms of a position either opposing or supporting strong mayors, because there wasn't consensus either way. So at this point, that is where AMO is on it.
Councillor McCabe, go ahead.
Hi, thanks very much for doing this presentation. It's really helpful, and appreciate everyone being on the call today. And it's really interesting, and thanks for all the work you're doing to encourage. It's really interesting, and thanks for all the work you're doing. Oh, sorry, I hear an echo there. Anyway, my question is, and this is a little bit awkward, but I'll ask it anyway. I mean, it's difficult to defeat somebody who is an incumbent. And so I'm just wondering, like, how does this project kind of think about, advising people who might be running against someone who's a sitting elected official? And because, I mean, I forget what the stats are, but you would know the stats, Petra or Stuart, about the amount of people, the age of people, who are in elected office and the length of time a number of us have held our positions. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, is there a piece of this that tries to help people kind of think about, when it's time to, when it's time to open up the seat for someone else, or how does this project deal with that? Because that to me seems like it's a real challenge, right? that I think is like everyone's who is elected is an impediment to someone else getting elected. So how are you managing that part of this work that when you're doing this?
That's a really good and an important question, Dorothy. And the foundational research that I spoke about with Monumental actually did address the challenge of folks who want to serve their communities, but likely don't have a good chance because of incumbency. So all of the workshops that I was referring to are candidate information workshops, but primarily I would say at this point, they very much are about taking people through the things and the strategies they need to think about in terms of running. And that goes everywhere from, building your positions, ethical campaigning, building a team to support you, getting your message out there, building the momentum around that, because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. And a lot of people who have never campaigned before probably don't even know how to do it, not intuitively anyway. So those workshops are really supporting that, and it's a how-to, like important steps to consider: when to campaign, how to campaign, go with somebody else, how to build a campaign team, all that kind of stuff. So I think that is something that really solidifies people's understanding and a feeling of confidence when they go out there and are able to communicate really both an understanding of what it means to have a position and something that is relevant to municipal government, and have those conversations at the door. So that's a big part of what we're doing, a hands-on approach to that.
And I'll just add that on top of that, we've been working for the past 3 years to build relationships with all the other different candidate support organizations.
Right.
So there are a variety, including the Waterloo Campaign School and others, as well as national groups like Operation Black Vote Canada and others that support this work. And as part of our, I think Peter did mention our local democracy solutions bank. As part of our relaunch of that, it includes a catalog of existing candidate supports and resources that already exist, so that people will know that they don't have to run without any of the information, that they don't have to run alone, that there are all these organizations that are out there to support them, as well as AMO, and as Peter has mentioned, the different types of programming that AMO is doing that it hasn't done before, really around encouraging people to run and know the skills they need to take that forward. So it's all part of a comprehensive effort.
Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate that.
I think we have the last question from Councillor Craig online.
Doug, you're muted.
Doug, you're on mute. Doug, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, Sue. Wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to cope. Anyways, thank you. I guess I'm disappointed in the answer about strong mayor powers, because there's no consensus. Well, I think there's a consensus amongst a lot of local politicians that this is really an attack on local democracy, along with the MZOs, the consolidation of conservation areas, the impending appointment from the province of a regional chair, perhaps in the region of Waterloo. And I think that AMO has got to take a much stronger stand and stop talking about a consensus and start talking about how we're going to protect democracy at the local level. We are simply sliding into being a provincial outpost for Queen's Park. And I think that has to be taken into account.
Thank you. Did you want a response or?
Well, I'd like to know what your thoughts are, because I'm not happy with the fact of what's going on in our provincial municipal offices in terms of the continual interference by Queen's Park, everything from bike lanes to speed cameras. I mean, what we have now is Queen's Park acting like the mayor of Ontario.
Yeah. So on all the policy issues outside of the strong mayor powers that you mentioned, AMO has taken some pretty strong positions and that align with the things that you've said. We send these out whenever we do that work. So very much consistent with the concerns about, treading into municipal territory. So we are aligned with that concern and have been doing some important government relations work. But the strong mayor's power, I mean, at the end of the day, governance everyone on this call is engaged in governance, and you do have to respect the process of governance that we do have. And the one that we have at AMO is a consensus amongst the board members. And, we always encourage people to run for the AMO board, to have an opportunity to have their say and inform policy in our government relations.
Fair enough. I think but still, let me just leave you with one last comment. In the region of Waterloo, in the last election that we had, municipal election, across the board, there was a 25% turnout. People have simply given up on municipal councils to some extent. They're not turning up for elections. They're not turning up for a lot of things. And I think we have, when you talk about democracy as an overriding label, it's under severe attack. I'll leave that with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you, Stuart and Petra, for presenting to us today. And on that final note, thank you for providing some guidance, some tools for all of us to work with in the upcoming election. I know that we've got a number of politicians in the room and online, and in terms of harassment and incivility, we've all seen our share either firsthand or, if not firsthand, secondhand. So I think those tools will be really helpful. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'm not going to introduce all the politicians in the room because you know who you are, but I do want to introduce my council since you're here in Woolwich. Councillor Bonnie, if you guys want to stand up, I'll make you stand up today. Councillor Bonnie Bryant, Councillor Evan Burgess, Councillor Eric Schwint, and Councillors Kayla Grant and Nathan Cadeau had work commitments, so they couldn't be here today. And with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item, and I'll call on Chair Redmond to take over.
Thanks, Sandy. It's always fun tag teaming with you. I think the presentation that was just made is very, very important. Can you put your hand up if you're an elected official and this is your first term? I think that speaks to the fact that there is local commitment, and notwithstanding some of the challenges that we all have in running, I think the fact that people are continuing to take interest and continuing to run for seats is really important. Our next item is a presentation from regional staff regarding the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I would now ask Connie McDonald and team to come and provide the presentation.
Come on. Good afternoon, and thank you, Chair Redmond. We are pleased to be here today to share major highlights of our work over the past year on the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I'm joined by my colleagues, Inspector Aaron Mathias from Waterloo Regional Police Service, Fazia Beg, the Director of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion at the region, and we are also joined virtually by the new Executive Director of Community Safety and Wellbeing, Samina Sami. Samina wanted so badly to be here in person today. Unfortunately, she is virtual from the hospital with a family member, but we're really glad that she was able to take a few moments to be here with us today. Next slide. So today we're going to walk through progress within each of the priority areas of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I will note that we won't have time to get through absolutely all of the work that's happened over the past year. So we're just going to do a few highlights, but within your package for today and in the report was a full detailed update on all of the different work across our action tables and priorities.
Next slide, please. So we'd like to start by really honoring truth and reconciliation. This has been a really pivotal philosophy and priority in the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. You'll see our framework here in the first ring closest to feeling safe and well and secure is the ring of truth and reconciliation. Our director, Paula Whitlow of Truth and Reconciliation, was hoping to be here today, but also couldn't, but did share some reflections around anchoring this work in the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. And from her words, centering reconciliation in the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan has ensured the framework remains true to the work that seeks to identify and address past harms, systemic inequities, and co-design new ways of working with community. It's elevated voices most impacted by inequities and empowers community-led solutions towards self-determined communities. We have been trying to use a more holistic approach in Indigenous knowledge and ways of knowing and incorporating that into the work that we've been doing in the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. And in doing so, it's really helped us to reflect on resetting relationships, building trust, and forging new paths forward. Just last week, we held a learning day with some of the action tables, and we were really fortunate that we were able to welcome GBV, gender-based violence service providers from 6 nations, to share their experiences and knowledge and wisdoms about missing and murdered Indigenous women and really shed light to the egregious situations that are occurring and elevate that and bring that into a formal discussion. At the Combating Hate Action Table, we've been really fortunate to have the influence of the Medicine Wheel and the 7 grandfather teachings as we've embarked in our work as well. So we hope to continue to anchor and center and honor truth and reconciliation in 2026 and continue to embed it in the work that we do as part of Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. Next slide.
So it is my pleasure to formally introduce to you Samina Sami as the Executive Director of Community Safety and Wellbeing. Samina is leading the implementation of the plan and working with the different committees, action tables, and system grassroots and other partners across the 4 priorities. Samina comes to us with a robust and relevant expertise, including experience in social services, government, and community safety. And I'm going to turn it over to Samina for a moment to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Connie. I'll start by saying how humbled I am to join this region in supporting community safety and well-being, and really want to thank the community immensely across all the cities and townships for welcoming me so warmly. I would absolutely be there in person today because I love engaging at the community level, but I'm with my dad today in the hospital. He's in the hospital, so I apologize for that. I thought I'd begin by just introducing myself very briefly to let you know what attracted me to this role, what I've been doing in my last 3 months, and where I'm going. So firstly, what attracted me? Over the years, I've actually worked very deeply with community groups in Waterloo region and the surrounding communities on community safety initiatives, funding programs, youth and newcomer programs. And what I was really struck by and impressed is the innovative community-centric approaches and models. So when I used to work on community safety with Solicitor General, for example, we used to uphold this region and some of the crime prevention and community safety models. So it's this very rich history in safety and well-being that I was drawn to. I was also really drawn to the framework for community safety and well-being, as my colleague Fawzi has noted, that central place of truth and reconciliation, inclusion in communities, and the work done. All of those values deeply resonated with me. And so I would say this role and this region and this community feels like the right place. Those words are inspired by my dad. I'm always saying I feel like I'm in the right place with the right values. So when he asked me about what I'm doing these days, I told him about this role, and he said that, you're in the right place, Samina. So what have I been doing in the last 3 months? I've been meeting with many, many community groups, partners, municipalities. I've met with some of you and want to recognize how warmly you've greeted me, and I'll continue to meet with others and the honorable mayors, councillors and CAOs. And I'm trying to take time to better understand needs and priorities. That's central to this. This is all community driven. So I'll be continuing to collaborate and work together, build upon the rich foundation of community safety and crime prevention in these communities, and continuing to work together on implementing our plan and refreshing our plan so we have a region where all residents feel a safety, inclusion, and well-being, and really looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Samina. So this marks a fairly important point in the community safety and well-being journey for us. Fozzie and I have been leading this work for about 5 years now, I think almost, and Erin probably for about 3 in a triad model of leadership. And we're working with Samina on a bit of a transition period and then moving towards her taking the reins and us really supporting her as the leader of this plan, which we're very, very excited about. So we can move to the next slide.
Okay, so I'd like to give you a quick update on upstream funding. If you don't already know, the upstream funding model is a really clear example of social innovation. I'll tell you more about that. It's a community-based funding model that's rooted in trust and in sharing power with and resources with community groups who have historically faced systemic barriers. To date, community has allocated up to almost $15 million to community groups that are using upstream initiatives towards advancing CSWP priorities, some of the ones that we'll talk about today as well. Following the first funding cycle, so we started in 2022, and myself and others on the upstream team, we'd go out and we'd visit with organizations that were funded by upstream. And it became really apparent to us really quickly that the funding was having an impact. And we were witnessing firsthand really strong and compassionate community leadership, empowered and engaged community members, and happy and engaged youth as well. And we started thinking that there's something really beautiful happening here as jobs are being created, as sense of belonging was increasing. And we thought, how do we take a more systematic assessment of what's happening through this collaborative funding model? And that led to a partnership with a social innovation research group at Wilfrid Laurier University with the goal of assessing the economic impacts of the upstream funding model, but also the broader social and cultural impacts of the model as well. The next slide. So when you think about social return on investment, it's really a way to measure the real life impacts of a program or initiative. And so the research team took the first year of investment, which is $4.1 million, and did an analysis of what were the economic and social returns on that initial investment. And they found that there were 150 jobs that were created. There were a number of mental health and social services and cultural services, from events to support programs to after-school programs that were delivered to about 40,000 residents in this region. Even really striking, even more than that, was that there's 75 new strategic partnerships that were forged with local institutions, businesses, mainstream organizations through this funding, with a total economic impact of 9.7 million, which is 2.5 times the initial funds invested. So I'm not a mathematician, so just to assure you all, there was a rep from the School of Business at Laurier who did all of this math, but it is quite substantial and really humbling to see that this kind of funding model has such a strong return on investment, both economically and socially. So if we move to the next slide. So kind of elaborating a little bit more on, that this funding has really been more than just the money from the start, and the investment in organizations, grassroots organizations and leaders has been yielding a lot of beautiful results. And the qualitative findings from this research has found that together with community, we are embracing social innovation, enhancing community-led solutions, to solve really complex social challenges that affect people's health and well-being. And that's really what social innovation is. It's really looking at community-led solutions to solve these complex issues that face a community. Another interesting finding that I just will highlight here briefly is that grassroots organizations reported a newfound visibility. And what that meant is that they were being seen for the work that they were doing in community, and that was allowing them to build more partnerships, be a part of more conversations, decision-making circles, more involved in networking opportunities, and actually led to more opportunities for funding and partnerships at different levels. Next slide. So this, I'm trying to think of the right word as I was reflecting on sharing about this campaign. And I think the right word is I feel relieved to be sharing about this campaign. I was at All Council last year when I was talking about how the Combating Hate Action Table members had engaged in some really intentional conversations around what it would take to combat hate in this region. And they came up with 3 goals. One was system accountability, another one was mapping of resources and supports, and the third one was advancing or launching a public anti-hate campaign. And sadly, since then, we continue to be reminded of how important such a campaign is. The week of the launch, there were acts of violence against the 2S LGBTQ plus community here in the region. And then just as Chair Redmond mentioned with what was happening with families celebrating Hanukkah in Bondi Beach, it's a reminder that things continue to happen both locally and around the globe. So nonetheless, CSWB continues to be committed to recognizing that hate and identity-based harm have no place here, and are continuing our efforts to combat that. And so the Combating Hate Action Table of 30-plus community and system leaders was able to launch the We All Belong Here campaign this year. Next slide. So the launch day was a day of marking milestones and celebration, and you'll see that there's a lot of yellow and a lot of people smiling and holding up frames and getting together. And I think that's really like leaning into the belonging side of the campaign. The message really is that we need to combat hate and really increase belonging through this campaign, through the connections and the relationships we continue to build through that. Just a few quick points on the campaign. There are a wide variety of communication tools associated with the campaign. One of the most liked ones is the bus wrap. So we have a bus that goes out and people seem to love it, of all ages and from different communities. There's t-shirts, there's some stickers and buttons. I brought some buttons and some stickers and some posters with me today. I'll leave them outside for anyone who'd like one. Social media, radio, print ads. We were also able to translate all the materials in 11 languages, including Indigenous languages, and make everything fully accessible as well. And that's our launch day on October 23rd, where we were able to come together with over 100 plus community and system leaders and partners to launch that. And again, I just have to say that this comes from the effort and hard work of many individuals. So a deep, sincere thank you to them as well. Next slide. So we know that a campaign is not one day. And so as part of this, we've been doing community activation events where we're bringing the campaign into different community settings, neighborhoods, community centers, events, conferences, gatherings, partnering with chat members, area municipalities. So thank you for that as well. We've had 15 plus since we launched in October, with more to come in the new year. And to kind of give you more of a taste of it, we have a video that will share some perspectives of folks that attended the campaign. It's very short, I promise.
With the current sentiments that are showing across social media, I think it's a perfect time for such a campaign.
I have an 8-year-old son, so, you know, if I can see kids growing up to create that belonging within their groups, within their schools, I think that's going to create a very positive change. When that awareness and action becomes a part of everyday life, it creates this ripple effect and it strengthens the whole community.
I did teach school for a very long time, my last 15 years in Wellesley. And when I first started teaching there, every face was the same. There was no diversity, and then it's changed. It enriches my life as an individual. I really enjoy meeting people from other cultures.
This is a great initiative to try and help anybody from around the region to find a place where they feel like it's safe and they feel like they can be themselves.
I think as a community, it will promote like a sense of belonging.
Wi-Fi.
It promotes a sense of like that everyone can come together and that we all can be one.
You always take a chance when you bring a video. And we'll just move on to the next slide when we're ready. So the last piece that launched alongside the campaign was a website, and this kind of speaks to that other goal that the chat table had about sharing resources and mapping resources and supports. And this website is more than just a digital platform. It really is a reflection of community leadership and shared concern to ensure that anyone who's either facing harm or has faced harm, to people that are wanting to do more and be a better ally, to even those who may have caused harm, have somewhere to go that is caring and compassionate and will welcome them wherever they are at their journey. So I have a QR code there for you if you'd like to go and explore it. It's I didn't do it all personally, so I can say it's phenomenal because many people have put their minds and hearts into curating the content for this. Since we launched, we've had over 6,000 unique visitors to it, so I encourage you to be part of that number and continue to increase people coming to that website and learning more and taking action. Next slide.
Thanks, Fazia. In 2023, the region of Waterloo Council was joined by many other local municipalities in declaring intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls an epidemic, drawing needed attention to this issue. That same year, the issue was established as a formal priority under the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Work in this priority, in large part, has been advanced through the partner agencies at the Family Violence Project, a collaborative and co-location of 9 agencies who are providing wraparound supports to survivors of intimate partner violence and gender-based violence. Using their data, the action table developed a better understanding of service demand and trends in our region. For instance, in fiscal year 2024, almost 1,300 individuals accessed programs at Women Crisis Services of Waterloo Region. 1,231 survivors accessed counseling at our lead agency, Communal Wellbeing and Mental Health. 1,761 survivors of intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, or human trafficking were referred into services and supports at Victim Services of Waterloo Region. And lastly, over the past 5 years, Waterloo Regional Police have responded to nearly 30,000 intimate partner violence-related calls, experiencing an average increase of 1% year on year. To address this growing need, the Family Violence Project, with strategic planning support from the Regional Waterloo staff, developed a 4-year strategic plan, which is reflective of growing community need, the growing diversity in our region, and the importance of including survivor voices in advocacy and program design. In addition to this strategy, the Family Violence Project continues to demonstrate promising results with evidence-based programming such as the Early Intervention Program. In the first quarter of this year, 78% of individuals involved in the Early Intervention Program had fewer IPV-related calls, and 48% of those involved had no further IPV-related calls in the 6 months following an intervention. In January 2025, a provider survey was distributed to agencies not partnered with the Family Violence Project to better understand the landscape of gender-based violence service provision in the region. A training and awareness module outlining the issue of femicide was also developed by Action Table partners. More recently, we've seen the launch, and you see the logo there, of the Not in My City anti-human trafficking campaign at both the region of Waterloo International Airport and a commitment from the Waterloo Regional Police Service to have each of our 1,400 members take the associated training. This campaign will continue to grow through the community in the coming months and across sectors, and seeks to bring awareness, education, and to disrupt this issue in our community. We'll move to the next slide, please. This is the strategy I referred to a little earlier. Key priorities of the Family Violence Project strategic plan include increasing our reach and impact, centering survivors in care, and community co-design. And this plan really acknowledges the need to grow alongside the region while ensuring all of our geographies have aligned services for survivors of gender-based violence. Fortunately, in 2025, we saw significant investment as well, both into the partner agencies of the Family Violence Project and the Family Violence Project itself. The Badge of Hope Foundation provided $1.1 million of funding over 4 years, which has been used to hire a new director and system navigator. These dedicated leadership positions will streamline service delivery and bring action to the new strategic plan. Additionally, the Government of Ontario provided funding which will help to optimize the Family Violence Project client care continuum and the related programs. The receipt of the funding from the province is a result of the ongoing advocacy by leadership in government relations at the region of Waterloo. We'll move to the next slide, please. Let's speak briefly to mental health, addressing mental health and addictions needs together. The Community Safety Wellbeing Plan recognizes that equitable, accessible, and trauma-informed mental health services are at the core of system action to support safe and well communities. The Mental Health and Addiction System Transformation Team is led by both Waterloo Region Ontario Health Team, focusing on aligning mental health and addictions cross-sectoral work that's happening across Waterloo Region to prevent duplication, optimize resources, and improve impact through integrated coordinated care. The 6 mobilization teams are currently supporting the following work: frequent users of emergency departments, homelessness and housing, supporting people holistically, youth mental health and addictions prevention, the ongoing expansion and integration of our Heart Hub, Waterloo Region, and also a data and evaluation team. Next steps for the system transformation team include evaluation of impacts and consideration for 2026 priorities in alignment with the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan goals. Thank you.
We're getting there, I promise. So the last priority is safe and inclusive spaces. Last year when I was at all councils, we said we would have action tables in place for all 4 priorities. I'm really pleased to thank the work of the Reconciliation Action Partnership, who this year have launched the Safe and Inclusive Spaces Action Table. And that table has had their first meeting, has set a few priorities, and will continue that work in the new year. I think we've just got 2 slides on the plan refresh, or if you want us to wrap up, we certainly can. We're in your hands, so.
Should I speak to the plan refresh?
Yeah, we'll just be really quick.
Okay, I'll do it under a minute. So the Community Safety and Policing Act, under which we're all mandated, all municipalities across the province, to develop community safety and well-being plans. That legislation also requires that the plans in municipalities are refreshed or updated every 4 years and are submitted to the Ministry of the Solicitor General. So the region last submitted their plan in March of 2022, and under that 4-year cycle, the region would be resubmitting or submitting the refresh plan in March of 2026. So we're working with our action tables, our community tables, and consulting with them in that refresh process. We'll be working with our CAOs, our council, our regional municipalities to consult and to engage on developing that refresh. The refresh largely reflects the work we've been doing over the last few years, but also signaling evolving priorities. So taking an approach that's responsive, engaged, inclusive, and very much an approach going forward that's outcome evidence-based with the highest impact in local communities, where we can achieve results that are sustainable and continue to position this region, the municipalities, the townships as a community leader in community safety and well-being. So looking forward to working on that refresh process and the implementation of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you to Inspector Aaron Matthias, Connie McDonald, Fazia Beg, and Samina Sami. As you see, there's a theme today. We started with how to be safe when you're campaigning and working in municipal governance, and we're moving on to the community safety. And from there, we are going to move over to the new safety, the Waterloo Region Health Network update, and I will call on our friends at the Waterloo Region Health Network, Ron Gagnon, President and CEO of the REN, and Patrick Gaskin, President and CEO of Cambridge Memorial Hospital. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure to be back. I think the last time I was here, I was with the Grand River Hospital, so a lot has changed in less than a year. Always a pleasure to be here with Patrick, who's both a good friend and a great colleague. And also with me today is Cliff Harvey, who's our Vice President of Redevelopment and the brains behind most of what I get up here and talk about. Also in the room are a couple other folks from our organization. Sarah Farwell, who I think a lot of you know very well, and Tony Adey, who's here, and one of our board members, Sandra Hanmer, is also here, one of our vice chairs and my former chair at Grand River Hospital. So, as I said, always a pleasure to be here. We're on the agenda objective slide. Sorry, I'm used to having it in my hand. The region, municipalities, and the township have proven over the years to be great supporters of both of our hospitals. Although I wasn't here, I've heard lots about One Voice, One Vision, and how the whole region came together to support hospitals in this region. So thank you for that. Thank you also for the level of interest and support that you've demonstrated in with the projects that we're talking about today. I know that there was lots of support for getting the Cambridge Hospital to the point that it's at, and there's been lots of support for our project at Wren as well. So thank you for that. So on the next slide, I'm just going to quickly start with, and I'm not going to go through every step here, but the context is important. And although I think many of you in the room are familiar with the Waterloo Regional Health Network and what that is, or Wren, I continue at a grocery store and other places to hear, well, what is that? Is that something new? And although, yes, it is something new, it is something that has evolved as well, because it is built on a long, decades-long partnership between the former St. Mary's General Hospital and the Grand River Hospital. And all the way back in 2020, right in the midst of COVID-19, our boards made a brave decision, which was to plan a new hospital together. So rather than two organizations fighting for a brand new hospital in this community, which is sorely needed, decided to do that together. And as we've gone through our planning process and got a lot of input from the community, from users of our system, from people delivering care inside our walls, one of the things that we heard quite often was, you need to do this as one. So in April of 2024, the two former boards made the decision to put community before brand and decided that, yes, we would explore how we could come together. And less than a year after that, Wren was born. And I would say there was a lot of heavy lifting that went into that process from April of 24 to April of 25. I could probably be up here all day talking about it, but I'm not going to do that. So just moving to the next slide, we believe we are entering a new chapter of health and prosperity in our region. We see ourselves as part of an integrated care network, working together with Patrick, with our OHTs, with all of our community partners to help us to be 1 million ready. There's many health impacts from the projects that we're going to talk about today. And beyond that, there are significant economic impacts and return on investment. So moving to the next slide and the one after that, we're now going to talk about some of the investments that we will be making over the course of the next couple of decades. And why we're doing that, again, is to be part of the effort to be 1 million ready in this region. We know we're growing at a pretty rapid pace. We know we're going to be 1 million people by 2050, if not sooner. And we know that to be the thriving community we want to be, we need world-class healthcare. And part of that is the facilities in which that care is delivered. And we are proud to be working in partnership with Cambridge Memorial Hospital to deliver on the hospital front of that plan. So moving to the next slide, and probably the one after it, because this is context, I think most of you are familiar with the motion that came forward from Regional Council back in August of this year. And we have been working with your leaders. Actually, we were working with your leaders before this motion, and we've been working with them since this motion as well, to help us respond to the questions and the direction that are included in this motion. So we're going to give you some updates today, and there's more to come in the months ahead. And we plan as REN to be reaching out to each of your councils in the new year to try and bring you updates on where we are. So just moving to the next slide, and the one after that. Now, this slide really presents context for the next 2 decades from a REN perspective. So we have a 2-decade plan that looks at the infrastructure needs of this region. Our first step is the building of the brand new hospital at the University of Waterloo North Campus. The second step is the expansion of our Chicopee, or as you probably still think of it, Freeport site, to expand its capacity and modernize it, while at the same time beginning the renovations of the former KW, or our Midtown site, as we call it. And then step 3 being the final phase of our brand new hospital and a final renovation at the Midtown site. So this is a 2 decades long initiative that is done purposefully because to try and do this all at once, 1, wouldn't be affordable, and 2, would probably cause so much chaos we wouldn't be able to deliver the high quality of care we're trying to deliver. So moving to the next slide, really the intention here, and it kind of shortens the timeline by quite a bit. And although I think for some people it might not feel like it, we've been really moving at an accelerated pace for hospital development. I think looking from the outside in, it can feel like, wow, this seems to be really slow. I will tell you that our boards have been committed previous to REN, and our current board is committed to continuously moving our planning ahead. And that's what we've been trying to do throughout. And we're continuing to do that planning work to move to the next phase because we are very keenly aware that getting first patient in the new hospital is a critical priority because we don't have anywhere near the capacity that we need today to meet the needs of this community, and definitely won't have it to meet the needs of the growing community. So the next slide is a bird's eye view, or higher than that, of the blocks anyways of the new hospital at the University of Waterloo campus. And this is when it's fully done at the end of it. And that facility, when it's fully completed, will be over 2 million square feet. It'll be one of the largest community hospitals in the province. And with that will come, new services, larger number of beds, state-of-the-art capacity, state-of-the-art tools. So just moving to the next slide. Although at the top of this it says we're delivering a standard hospital, I would change it to we're delivering a hospital that builds standards that have been proven into its design and how it will be constructed. Why are we doing that? 1, there's no need to reinvent the wheel when the wheel actually works quite well. 2, you're able to build it at a more accelerated pace. And 3, you're able to attract more builders to the table because they know what you're looking for. And it's easier for them to understand it. Hospitals are complex facilities to build, and the easier we can make it, the more competition we can get to the table, which is one of the key challenges with facilities that are the size of the one that we're talking about building. So moving to the next slide. One of the things, although I talked about standards, when we think of standards in our new hospital, we think of the 80-20 rule, Pareto's law. 80% of it, we can rely on standards for what the facility looks like, how you construct it, and that still leaves us with 20% to leverage the energy, power, and minds and capabilities of this region to innovate the way care is provided in the future. And we're quite fortunate to have a very close connection with the University of Waterloo on the innovation front. So we've created what is called Care Next, which is a partnership between our 2 organizations, where we've jointly hired a vice president of innovation and chief health innovation officer who reports to both Vivek and myself, and who is driving a health innovation agenda for our organizations. So we see benefits from a teaching standpoint. We see benefits from a healthcare standpoint. We see ourselves as a sandbox for the development of new approaches. It's not always new technologies. Sometimes it's just new approaches is part of innovation as well. And the other thing that we see as a potential and a real opportunity for us is as we're building the new hospital, we also have access to all the different schools at the University of Waterloo. So they've already been engaged in the planning process for the development of our new hospital, and they will continue to be. What's unique about our relationship is that we are the only such partnership in Canada where you have a community hospital, not a teaching hospital, and a non-medical school partnering together around healthcare innovation. And that's something we're proud of, and we think it's something that can help us move further faster. And it is a partnership that we believe will grow as well to include other partners in education and in healthcare. So on the next slide, I talked earlier about our pace. And the reason we're trying to move at a rapid pace is we know that every year we delay is significant escalation costs, which raises the cost of this project every single year. And so some of the commitments that our board has made is to keep planning, even as we're waiting for the Ministry of Health to say, yes, we approved your last phase or your last submission. There's multiple phases in the ministry's planning process. And our strategy is to continuously stay ahead of that. So the best example I can give you of that is we've had 2 planning grant approvals from the Ministry of Health. Within 3 months of receiving the approval, we made our submission because we're probably 12 to 15 months ahead of it in starting our work. And that's what we're continuing to do. So on the next slide, and this is probably one of the most important pieces of the work that we are doing, with hospitals of the size that we're talking about, this province is facing lots of challenges right now from a competitiveness standpoint. Once you get over a certain size in an already very small delivery market, those companies start to come together and they bid on it together. So you basically have one bidder for something that is, a big price tag, and then having cost certainty becomes a challenge. So what we've done, working with the Ministry of Health, working with Infrastructure Ontario, is we've phased our new hospital project. So that means we don't get it all at once, but we get it in a way that will drive competition, will allow us to move faster, and will allow us to deliver high value for the taxpayer spend. The other thing it does is it helps to solve a problem that our government faces. There are at least 3 projects I can think of that are struggling with this right now. The advantage that we have is that we started from a phasing standpoint. We're not having to rework a plan we already had. And we think our approach is a winning solution and a model for others to follow, of course, after our project is built. Because this is a competition. There's multiple communities probably listening to CEOs like me talk about we need to do everything we can to be at the top of that list. And so we believe we're positioning our project to be at the top of that list. And we've been really fortunate to be able to work with many partners in the community, not the least of which is Patrick, his team, and the team at Cambridge. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick, who will walk through a little bit of what's happening at CMH.
Thanks, Ron. Next slide. Chair Redmond, Mayor Shantz, mayors and councillors. Joining me today online is our board vice chair, Diane Wilkinson, and in person, Lisa Short, who is president and CEO of the Cambridge Memorial Hospital Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to update you on the future capital plans for Cambridge Memorial Hospital. And you say future plans for Cambridge Memorial Hospital, aren't we done yet? And sort of no way. As our community continues to grow and age, we will need to further expand at Cambridge Memorial. So I'll take the next slide. Earlier this year, we celebrated the completion of CMH's capital redevelopment project. First approved by the provincial government in 1998, the project took 27 years to come to completion, but that's another story for another day. We came together in January to celebrate the investments made by the province of Ontario, the region of Waterloo, the city of Cambridge, the township of North Dumfries, and our community. CMH is a brand new hospital with expanded services, more beds, more surgeries, more babies, more testing, more emergency department visits, more care closer to home. Over 80% of Cambridge and North Dumfries residents get their care at CMH, and we are proud to serve our community and the region. I'll take the next slide, please. A hospital is just a building. The CMH staff, physicians, volunteers make us a great organization. Top employer in the region, recognized nationally for our quality improvement, our healthy workplace strategy, and as top employer for best corporate culture. Like all organizations, we're deploying artificial intelligence to transform the patient and the clinician experience. Clinical scribing in the emergency department, predictive analytics for patient acuity in our intensive care unit, and resume screening. Earlier this year, our board approved a new patient care information system for the hospital and made the decision to put in the same system as REN. Expected to be implemented by this time next year, the system will further support the two hospitals in providing a coordinated care experience for patients. As appropriate, clinicians at both hospitals will have access to their patients' care across the hospital sites. This will allow for safer, efficient, and effective care. And beyond the new computer system, what does the future hold for CMH? I'll take the next slide, please. In 2011, we submitted a long-term plan for expansion to the government. And these were the plans for post-capital redevelopment. At that time, our plans indicated that the next expansion for CMH would occur by 2030. And 2030 is fast approaching, and while that may be a bit too ambitious, our expectation is that by 2035, within the next 10 years, we will need to expand the hospital. And I say that today with a bit of hesitation. I was just checking my phone, and today we're at 112% occupancy. And what does that mean? How do you do that? That means patients in the hallways, and we currently have 20 patients in the emergency department waiting for an inpatient bed. So future expansion is on the offing. And our design back in 2011 included a new ambulatory care section, a parking structure to the east of the hospital. Towards the west side, it was a new patient care wing with a larger emergency department and more inpatient beds. And where are we right now? So originally we had planned to start the detailed planning work in 2027. But as a result of the regional council motion, we've accelerated that work. We've engaged with the Ministry of Health. We are currently reviewing the planning assumptions that went into that 2030 plan. We've engaged with our architects, our cost consultants, and our planning staff in order to update our information. And as Ron has mentioned, we're working very closely with REN so that we have common planning assumptions as we do this work and undertake it and provide more details in the future. With that, I will pass it back to Ron to talk about local share planning.
Thanks, Patrick. So, what is a local share plan? Probably the bottom line, a really important piece of making what Patrick and I are talking about actually happen. So moving to the next slide, it is part of the ministry's approval process. You need to have it to get your project approved. It has some basis in legislation as well that drives it. And what we've seen across the province, when you're not able to deliver your local share plan on time or it doesn't meet the needs, your project becomes at risk. Regardless of its potential healthcare need, it will get pushed back. So on the next slide, you see lots of details about the key component, the key cost shares between the local share piece and the municipal piece. The way this typically breaks down in most communities is somewhere between 25% and 30% of the overall project needs to be covered by the local share. And the last time this policy was updated by the ministry was 2006. I was actually building another hospital at that time when that happened. And I'm not aware, and I don't know if Patrick is aware, of any move to change that policy at this point in time. Although we're going to continue to negotiate with the Ministry of Health and the province on this, I don't see that it will, I don't foresee it changing at this point in time. So moving to the next slide, there are three key components to the local share. The first is the hospital, what new revenue the hospital is able to generate or savings it's able to generate from its new operation, that goes towards it. A typically large fundraising capital campaign by our foundation. And then the third piece is the contribution from the local municipalities and region. So that's how local shares are typically covered. And you need all three in order to be successful. And I would also say this doesn't just apply to the new hospital piece, it applies to all those components that I was talking about earlier. And I can't take credit for what I'm about to say. I'm going to give that credit to Patrick. But I talked about 25 to 30% being invested locally. That's what we invest locally, but we get 100% of the benefit locally. Right? So the healthcare benefit, the financial benefit, the job benefits all stay here for a 25 to 30% investment. So moving to the next slide, I want to take a minute to recognize your CAOs and your CFOs. They have been really helpful and great to work with as we've gone through this process. I envision that we will continue to work with them as we work through the local share process. You can see already on this slide the many things that we've been talking about and gaining their insight and advice on. And that is a really valuable relationship, and we continue to look forward to having those discussions and coming back to regional council and your councils with the answers to the questions that were in the motion that I had on the screen earlier. So I'll move to the next slide and the one after it to just briefly talk about our foundation. Our new CEO of our foundation, Doug Earle, would be here if he wasn't out of town, so I'm going to share a couple words from him. And like our hospitals, our foundation is brand new. Our foundation is the result of an amalgamation of the former St. Mary's General Hospital Foundation and Grand River Hospital Foundation. They followed the lead of the hospitals. That's why it's not April, but May. And like the hospital boards, their boards look to what is in the best interest of the community, what is in the best interest of the hospital from a fundraising standpoint, and how do we best steward our donor funds? And as they went through that process, they concluded it was by coming together. So on the next slide, what they're doing right now is engaging with key members of the community, looking at some of the facts around our community, and also revisiting a feasibility plan that was done a few years ago to update it for today. And based on that, on the next slide, they will be building a best-in-class capital campaign, as you would expect. And what we know is the success of a campaign of the size that we're going to be talking about will require community leadership and leaders in the community to come forward and be part of the success together. So hopefully we will see many of you as part of that leadership effort and other leaders in our community to do that as well. One of the questions, moving to the next slide and then the one after that, one of the questions we were asked in the motion that you saw was, what's the impact? What's the impact on our services as a region? Also, what's the impact in the region? So on this slide, what you can see is some of it's called off-site work that's already being planned, right? Sewer, water, electricity, transportation, how does all that work? And so that work has already started. We had the benefit of having people from your EMS team and your public health team and other teams at the region involved with the development process early on. And they continue to be at the table with us. And we've really valued their contributions. Those conversations are ongoing. We continue to work with EMS and others to refine what will those impacts be on the services of the region as we move forward. So in the next slide, beyond the healthcare benefit, we also wanted to dig into what is the social and economic benefit of this project, of our projects. And as I said earlier, we know we're going to invest somewhere between 25 and 30% of the cost from our local share between the three portions and gain that 100%. So what does that 100% start to look like? So on the next slide, yeah. We've developed a vision for the future that sees, outstanding care that's personal, seamless, and reimagined. And this project is a key component of that. So just at a very high level, some of what gets delivered from our first project is the growth in our capacity, which includes bed capacity growing by 53%. It includes modern spaces and equipment. It includes state-of-the-art technology. It includes new services, and it includes a mind of flexibility in designing and building this hospital, because I don't know about most other spaces, but hospitals seem to change their needs on a regular basis. So you need to have that flexibility built in. On the next slide, we start to get into lots of numbers, but I'll try and just hit the highlights here. And the highlight is that REN is already a very large financial contributor to this region. So today, we generate about 1.1 billion in total impact in this region. And we support, directly and indirectly, just over 14,000 jobs. We see that impact growing as we build out the components of our master plan. And you can see just the GDP impact locally will grow by almost 30%. So it's a significant contributor today, and we see ourselves as a significant contributor tomorrow. And on the next slide is strictly around construction itself. So just during construction, we'll generate almost 19,000 new jobs in this community, in this region. And we see $1.52 of total output for every dollar invested. So if you go back to ROI, that's at the top end, it's actually 30 cents invested from our local share, and we're generating $1.52 in total output locally. It's not a bad return for our investment. So what's next? And that's on the next two slides. So obtaining the necessary approvals from provincial government. This is always probably the longest and the hardest part of building a hospital. We've been at this now since 2020. We continue to advocate. Just earlier this month, Cliff and I were meeting with the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Infrastructure. I know many of you have had meetings and discussions with different ministers as well, and thank you for that. What we're aiming towards is to get in the next budget the formal approval of our last submission, which is that stage 1.3, and to get an official date actually put in the budget for the start of construction for our hospital. Right now, we're in what's called the planning phase. We want to move from the planning phase to, yes, here's the date for this project. And we believe that we've developed an approach to deliver the needed infrastructure in a way that protects taxpayer dollars through competition, through phasing, through timeline adherence by our approach, through standards adoption, and by finding an innovative planning and operating approach. And as I said earlier, on the next slide, really this is about what we're doing right now, which is continuing our planning. Right? We're continuing to move ahead of what I'll call the normal schedule because we know how important it is to get to first patient by 2035. And moving to the next slide, and then probably the one after that, which is my second last slide. What's on the screen, the REN is just going through our first strategic plan. What's on the screen is what we refer to as our commitment statements, so our future or our vision, our purpose or our mission, and the values that will guide our organization. And you will see this come to life, inside our walls every single day, and you will definitely see it come through in the project that we're building. So I want to close by again saying thank you. Thank you for offering us the opportunity to come and speak with you today. Thank you for your past support, and thank you for your current support for the work that we're doing and the work that we're doing together, not just as hospitals, but as a broader community. And looking forward to continuing to work with you to make this dream a reality for our region and help us to be part of the solution for the 1 million people that will need our care. Thank you.
That was a lot of information. Are there any questions? Okay, we'll bring the mic over and Patrick and Ron will answer them.
Thank you, Ron, for your presentation. Councillor Bill Inez from the City of Kitchener. I really appreciated your presentation, and I see, and one particular thing that I take interest in is the 19,000 workers, construction jobs. And I see that you're incorporating AI, which I think is fabulous. I'm a big proponent of AI, and I think it'll change a lot of systems. But the labor portion, if I'm doing the math and I'm looking at a 10-year time frame, I see this province is going to be in a massive shortage of skilled trades. And there'll be not only just this hospital, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other great infrastructure projects that are going to be throughout the province, if not Canada. But more importantly, I'm going to see huge demand back in housing again. So how are we mitigating or looking at or preparing for that job shortage in skilled trades?
Yeah, great question, and thank you for that. So yeah, the 19,000 jobs that we were talking about was to build the actual facility itself. Some of the benefit or the opportunity right now is a slowing condo market, which actually frees up some of the same trades during the construction phase. But to your other point, which is just where is the labor going to come from to deliver these healthcare services in the future? Although there's great efforts that are happening right now around more medical schools, more nursing schools, etc., I don't truly believe that we will be able to use ways to fix future problems. And that's where AI comes in. And that's why we're partnered with the University of Waterloo. We are a member of the Waterloo Region AI Coalition as well, which has as its mandate for this region to be the leader in Canada for AI adoption. And we think we as hospitals can actually be a big part of that. So I see AI being a big part of our solution as we go forward, as well as the innovation around how we deliver care.
Okay. I still feel I'm not as confident that AI is going to be there, but I mean, I would hope that we work with all of our stakeholders, and in particular the province, to help look at mitigating the labor shortage that I know that is coming, because I think that 10-year time frame is going to be a perfect tsunami of lack of labor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Jason Deneau, City of Kitchener. I swear we didn't compare questions beforehand, and mine is coming from a staffing level. So you mentioned we're going to have an increase in services, beds. Your operating costs are going to be much larger with the new build plus the other two facilities. So is there? I know it's still early phase, but is there a process, like a recruitment process, that the hospital will endeavor into, because you're going to need more people? And I understand the whole AI, but you can't replace a nurse in an operating room or somebody along the bed. But also as a part of that, myself, I work in long-term care, and what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years is people leave long-term care and go to the hospital. Better pays. So is there a process, some kind of a commitment that the hospitals can work with the local care partners to ensure that long-term care, assisted homes, they're properly staffed, because we can't continue to lose all of our staff to the hospitals?
Yeah, it's a great point. And we see ourselves as part of a system of care. So definitely have to take that into consideration as we're making our decisions. To your earlier question, operational readiness is one of the streams of our new hospital work. We've already started that work. So it will look at how will we be delivering service in that new facility or in those renovated facilities as well. What will the labor requirement be? And then what is our strategy for getting that labor? So it's work that's starting today, even though the hospital probably wouldn't open its doors for 10 years.
Yeah, Councillor Craig.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. I have a couple of questions. One dealing with the 25 to 30% that the public is going to have to pick up in one manner or another. So what is the projected cost of the new Waterloo Hospital?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Craig. And that's, we're not at the stage yet where we're able to make that cost number public. When we do reach that stage, we will be back to you to share it publicly.
Well, it's going to be hard for us, I think, at the regional council table to allocate monies without knowing what the cost is. And I'm certainly not prepared to do that. And until we get the report from our own staff about the all the implications of the hospital with regards to regional services. So I just want to leave that with you. The second thing is, when we started off with One Voice, One Vision, and I was in the beginning of that route years ago, I mean, Cambridge Hospital just got completed this year, 27 years after it was approved. The other two hospitals were approved in the early, I think, 2005, 7 or 8. So, and I'm concerned about that, about being left behind again. I'm concerned about the fact that at regional council, when the motion came forward to endorse the hospital, that we had some of the regional councillors didn't support adding Cambridge into it. So I'm supported. I'm questioning that. So I think there has to be a lot more structure to what's going on, how Cambridge is going to be treated in this, in terms of the taxpayers, and also some further, dialogues on certainly the cost and the cost to the local taxpayers, because right now a lot of taxpayers can't afford anything extra. So I'll just leave that with you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
So I just want to add my voice of thanks to Ron and Patrick and your teams for being here and giving us a holistic view. Sandy, I think, characterized today's meeting really well when she talked about the fact that there is a theme and it was consistent throughout. Many of these issues are interrelated, and it was a great segue. When I look at the presentations that have been made, the one word that keeps coming back to me is community. And this really is all about community. It's about electing officials that feel that they have a safe environment to serve in. It's about a community through community safety and well-being that includes everyone and makes sure that we're safe. And a hospital that I want to underscore, it's the Waterloo Region Health Network. And it is really significant that not only we have Ron here, but that we have Patrick as well. I remember saying to Ron when the two boards came together that I actually was more impressed with that development than I was that we were going to get a state-of-the-art new hospital, because for those of you who have been associated with healthcare over the last several decades, that just always looked like a bridge too far. So I want to congratulate everybody who had the vision to come together and say this is what is good for, this is what is best for our community, and we're going to do it. It does sometimes feel like the Hunger Games, but if we collaborate and innovate and move forward together, we will get where we need to go. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I want to thank everybody for, you're ready to move the motion?
It was very important to us reaching this week. The other burning issue in all of our minds is the water supply issue. Just wondering if you maybe give us an update on what led to the concerns in the media a couple weeks ago and how we're going to find out more information.
Well, we're working really diligently with our water staff and the CAOs at all the area municipalities. Matthew, do you want to come up and add to this?
Karen, could you, I couldn't hear the question that was asked. Would you mind summarizing
The question that was asked is just a little bit of a status update of the water issue. Dorothy?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the question. So as you know, with ongoing work and the work that we were doing on the water supply strategy, we identified a water capacity issue in what we call the Mannheim service area, which is a network of wells, pumps, treatment facilities, as well as the Mannheim water treatment plant that takes water from the Grand River. So these are all integrated together, and they serve Kitchener, Waterloo, the north side of Cambridge, and parts of Woolwich and Wilmot. It's a complicated system. We're trying to look at the issue. As soon as it came up, we shared it with the public to be able, and shared it with, and first, well, with our regional council, and then with our area municipal partners to try to start looking at how we're going to solve this together. That will require some work on infrastructure, so typically on how we can expedite timelines on repairing some aging infrastructure, expanding some of it, changing the way that the system itself works, because it has limitations today in its complexity, and that's work that we're doing with all of the area municipal partners and in collaboration. So I know I talked to the CAO group again this morning to bring an update to that, and the teams were meeting this afternoon to talk about it in more detail. And I would say the next steps on this are we will bring back a report to regional council in early January. We've been working with third-party experts to be able to ascertain, just confirm some of the findings, some of the issues, and identify those. So their review is expected to be finalized, and this will be brought forward in the open report, and we'll continue to provide updates to all of you and to the region as soon as it's available.
I thought you were just anxious to get going here. I also want to point out the community safety and well-being plan update. We were worried we've run out of time, so there weren't questions. They're going to hang around. Sandy wants me to mention there's really yummy nibblies out in the hallway, so please approach individuals and ask questions if you have them. And again, thank you all for being here. And seeing no other hands, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I don't need to do a motion? Okay. But Joe Gowing wants to. Okay, I'm just going to declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here.